Low testosterone is one of the easiest problems that you can fix once you understand the proper order of operations. And I'm gonna give you that exact order in this video. But first, be honest with yourself. Brain fog, scattered attention, low libido, no real drive to chase anything. You can't burn fat or build muscle, even though you think you're eating enough food or the right foods, or even training properly. If that is you, that is extremely normal. I understand. Most men that I speak to on a daily basis are dealing with the exact same issues as I just mentioned and as you're going through. What I've found is that they just simply don't understand how easy it is to fix these issues when you do what I'm gonna share with you in this video in the right order. Because there is a right way to do this and then there is a wrong way to do this. And most guys obviously fail because they're doing it the wrong way. This video is the right way. Now, I do have to warn you because this video is not going to be a magic pill. I'm not promising that. You're going to be challenged and you're gonna have to put some work in. So if that sounds disgusting to you and you're repulsed by that idea, then by all means, skip off this video, go watch someone who's gonna preach that. That's not what I do here. And I'm not hating on you. You're just probably not ready for the transformation that I'm going to lay out in this video. For those of you who are still here, my testosterone used to be 361 when I got my first blood test a few years ago. I was able to transform that to over 1,369 completely naturally. And I've posted my blood work many times on many different videos. If you haven't seen it, you'll see it right now because it's on the screen somewhere. And I've not only done it for myself, but I've also done it for many of my clients as well, like David, like Luke, like Zach, etc. If you do apply the 5 steps in this video that I'm going to lay out for you, I guarantee that your testosterone is going to minimum double depending on where you're starting from. Now, will you 4x your testosterone just like I did? I'm not going to guarantee that, and I never have, and I never will. You can, it's possible, but I'm not gonna make any false promises to you guys. And quite frankly, a lot of you don't even need to 4x your testosterone. A lot of you just need to get back in the regular reference range. But regardless, the process that I'm going to lay out for you is the exact process that I used for myself and that I still use to this day and continuously refine every single day. And I'm going to give you all of it. I'm gonna rank these 5 steps in order from least impact to most impact on your testosterone. So the deeper you get into this video and the more committed you are to actually making a change, the better results you're gonna get and the better the numbers are gonna get for you. So let's get started. Step 1 is an environmental detox. The estimated increase that you can project from doing an environmental detox is going to be around 15 to 50 nanograms per deciliter. Now, the reason we start with a removal is very important to address. A lot of people always try to add things into the routine rather than subtracting. This is a common thing that I've noticed. So what I recommend people do is before they add a single supplement or a single routine or another training program, always focus on the things that you can remove that are currently disrupting your lifestyle, your habits, your sleep, etc. Remove the things that are actively suppressing you. I used to drink tap water. I had brain fog so bad, I really believed it was my personality that was the issue. Tap water is contaminated with estrogenic chemicals. And even if your city claims that the water is on the good side of the spectrum, it is not filtered properly and it is most certainly not healthy for you. Then look at your shower, for example. You're standing in hot, unfiltered water for 10 to 15 minutes, maybe twice a day. Your pores are wide open and the water is going in and you're absorbing it. Your skin is the biggest organ on your body and it absorbs the most amount of water. Then you have your deodorant, your soap, your shampoo, your cologne and fragrances. Most of them are going to be loaded with phthalates and parabens. And these are chemicals that have been shown time and time again to disrupt your testosterone and your hormones. And not only do they disrupt your testosterone and your hormones, they increase your estrogen and they make you less masculine. So here's the protocol when it comes to this. Besides removing the bad, some things you can add are getting a reverse osmosis filtration system. And if you don't want to get one of those, then start drinking out of a glass water bottle from the store. Those are really your only 2 options because literally everything else is absolutely contaminated. Make sure you put a filter on your shower, one that filters at least bare minimum chlorine. Swap your personal care products for cleaner versions of them. It only takes you 5 to 10 minutes to make these swaps. You just got to look up healthier versions and alternatives. And please, for the love of God, get seed oils out of your kitchen. If you're still in 2026 cooking your food in canola oil, in rapeseed oil, in all of these disgusting oils, even olive oil, there's specific things that you should not be heating up because it makes it more inflammatory when you absorb it. Some things are just not meant to be heated up and you need to realize that. So please cook your food in beef tallow, butter, that's it. And the easiest way to gamify this is to try to purge 1 product per day for the next 7 days. By next week, your environment is going to be completely different and it's going to be much cleaner. And most guys, they feel the fog in their brain start lifting after day 1 of making these changes. This is what all my clients feel. So this is the starting point, right? This is like bare minimum stuff that you got to do. Just look at it like it's a warm-up. All right, now step 2. Let's dive into training. The estimated increase that you can expect to get when you start training properly with the right intent is going to be around 50 to 100 nanograms per deciliter. It's honestly quite an uncomfortable truth that many of you have to come to terms with, the same way that I had to come to terms with it as well. But I promise you, training harder and training more and even longer does not correlate to more testosterone production in your body. It's quite the opposite. Junk volume, doing extra volume where you're not recovered properly or you're kind of just wasting sets to just spend more time in the gym, is going to spike your cortisol more. And cortisol and testosterone, they have an inverse relationship to each other. And I personally know this to be true because I lived it for many years. There were years that I trained like an absolute animal 6 days a week, just hammering my body into the ground, thinking that I was progressing and that everything was going to get better if I just kept doing it, and I got to wait years and years and years for these things to happen. I really believed that. But internally, I felt like a shell of myself. I didn't feel like I was living up to my potential at all. My physique was extremely mid. It was not very good. My energy wasn't good. I was like wondering like, okay, when is this going to pay off? Like, how much longer do I have to wait for this to, go the way that I desire to? But the problem was that I was training extremely hard, but I was recovering like an absolute loser. I was essentially not doing any kind of recovery. I wasn't prioritizing sleep, nutrition, etc. I'll get into that in a second. But your body, it reads training as a signal. Heavy compound lifts, squats, deadlifts, presses, explosiveness, sprinting. These things tell your body that it needs to be strong. So what does it do? It produces the hormones that make you strong. But the signal, right, can only consistently get answered if you properly recover. Because it'll work the first day, but it's not going to consistently be able to stack and build on top of each other if you aren't recovering. That's the key point, is that it's almost like a tapering off bell curve that just goes down. It goes up and then just falls off a cliff. So what I changed was, instead of training 6 days a week and not having enough time to recover for my next workout, I simply just started training less. 3 to 4 days a week, 30 to 45 minutes with high intensity, keeping the exercise movements very simple, things that I'm comfortable with, that feel good, that don't make my joints and my ligaments feel like they're in pain and that I just simply can't recover for the next workout. Sprinting, stretching, walking, right? These are simple things that I started adding to my routine that I was just completely neglecting before. I wasn't doing enough of it, and I was wondering why like nothing was progressing. But really, when I cut my junk volume and I started adding these things, I really started to see my strength go up through the roof, while I was able to look better. I had more energy. I was able to sleep better, because I wasn't so exhausted to where it was a drag day to day to get these workouts done. That's not how you should feel. And if you are feeling like that, then I promise you there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm here to show it to you. Step 3, nutrition. If you start eating the right foods at the right time, you can estimate your testosterone is going to go up 100 to 200 nanograms per deciliter. For nutrition, we're just going to dive straight into the building blocks. Your hormones, for those of you who are unaware, are physically made out of cholesterol, fats, and minerals. Not your oatmeal, not your whey protein, not your broccoli. These things are not moving the needle at all. And it's funny because we're told our whole lives, I know I was told when I was growing up by my parents, because they believed this, that cholesterol was an enemy. But cholesterol is a building block to testosterone, one of the main building blocks. And the moment I started incorporating more foods, which I'll get into in a second, that had more cholesterol, good cholesterol from high quality sources packed with minerals and nutrients, my testosterone started going up. I don't have to fear it. Neither should you. I grew up, just so you guys are aware, in an Italian household where we had pastas, bread, cereals, grains, things of this nature. This was our predominant source of nutrients in our diet, and we really didn't get much elsewhere. But when I got into fitness, I did shift away from eating all these foods, and I really started focusing on, the quantity at which I was consuming my macros, and that was where my focus ended up going. And my physique definitely started to change, like obviously, because macronutrients, the idea of it does work. I'm not gonna say it doesn't, because that's just me lying to you. But that does not fix your hormones. It does not fix your testosterone unless you implement a specific protocol and this system. So here's what I did to rebuild my testosterone when it comes to the nutritional aspect of things, and this is exactly what I recommend you do. You should seriously be eating 6 to 10 pasture-raised eggs per day, spread out throughout the day. Obviously, if you want to have it all at once, go ahead. And I don't even know why I have to say this, but I just need to. Make sure you're eating the egg yolks as well. Don't neglect them, please, because that is where all cholesterol and all the nutrients and minerals actually lie. Then you want to be eating grass-fed beef, grass-fed, grass-finished beef. If you're unaware of that, Google search it. Steak 2 times a day, raw milk, raw honey, and if you can get your hands on some organs like some raw liver or some heart, that is a bonus. Also, when it comes to carbohydrates, I'm not going to throw away rice or potatoes, I still eat those and they still support me when it comes to my training. I also still eat fruit, right? Organic fruit is good. And I cook all my food in butter and beef tallow. I have not cooked my food in fucking seed oils or olive oil or avocado oil in literally years. The only time that I might compromise that is if I happen to go to a restaurant that won't accommodate me, which is obviously unfortunate, but that's just the reality of going out and eating, which is why I recommend just cooking all your food. You're better off. And besides all of that, you have to eat enough food. I also preached for a while the idea of intermittent fasting, and that does work when it comes to losing weight if you're really overweight, and that'll help with your testosterone. But it all depends on where you start. For me, now where I'm at, I need to be eating a lot more food because my physique is already in a pretty good standing. And if you're underfeeding, your body's gonna think you're in a famine and it's not gonna produce testosterone, right? Because it's gonna think that you can't produce it because it's gonna conserve energy to make up for the fact that you're not getting enough food coming in. One of the biggest things that I change when people come to me and they work with me one-on-one is fixing their diet in terms of how much they're eating is so crucial. If you're underfeeding yourself, your results are going to be terrible. But if you're also overeating, then you're also going to be in a really bad position. So there's a nice balance that we find when people work with me, and you have to find for yourself. If you eat this way for 21 straight days, I promise you, you will not recognize who you see in the mirror and how you feel as a person. But you have to be consistent with it. It is hard work and dedication. I am not promising that this is going to be easy. And if you're willing to put the work in, you're going to get the results you want. Step number 4 is going to be sleep. You have to architect your sleep. If you do get the right amount of hours, the right quality of sleep, which I'll dive into in a second, you can estimate 150 to 300 nanogram per deciliter increase. Now, this one outranks nutrition, and I really believe that. And I would say that the literature does support this claim that I'm making. And I hear a lot of guys, right, preaching just diet and fixing that, and that'll help you, but they neglect sleep. Sleep is so important for your testosterone. There's been this one study that I always go back to that proves that if you get 5 bad nights of sleep in a row, which is like anything below 5 hours, your testosterone can drop by 15%. That's a huge drop. And for me, this really clicked because I was a night owl, and I still kind of am, and it's a little bit difficult for me to get myself to get into bed. But once again, the dedication, hard work, these things are important pillars for your mindset, which I'm going to get into in the next step to be able to get these results. But once I shifted my sleep routine to kind of align with the sun, things really started shifting for me. And it became a lot easier to have a more aligned circadian rhythm, because I was going to bed at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning every night, and I was waking up at 7 or 8. Some of you guys are probably doing that, but waking up at 5 or 6. You're getting like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and you wonder why you feel like shit. And there's no amount of caffeine that you can drink, I promise you, that's gonna fix that. And another huge mistake I was making when it came to going to bed was I was eating right before bed, which means that I'm going to bed with a high core body temperature. So I'm gonna be having a much more difficult time entering all of the stages of sleep. And once again, there's a fine line of eating too early before bed, meaning like 5 to 6 hours before bed, to where like you're like really hungry and your body doesn't have enough nutrients to help you recover while you sleep. And on the flip side of that, eating literally right before bed, like within 20 minutes. There's like a 1 to 2 hour window that's usually gonna be best. But make sure that when you are going to bed, that you're ideally in a room that's 68 to 72 degrees. You ideally have blackout curtains that trap the light from coming in. You also shouldn't be using your phone for the last 60 minutes of the day. The blue light's gonna wreck your sleep. And if you don't already have blue light glasses, you have to get yourself a pair. And then some kind of supplementation that you can add on top of this is magnesium glycinate and L-theanine. I would just recommend magnesium for many of you. You might not need the L-theanine. Just start with that. And one final thing that you should add to your night routine is going to be 10 to 15 minutes of deep breathing. This is going to relax your nervous system. It's going to allow you to fully calm down, do a little bit of stretching on top of that, and you'll get amazing sleep. Step 5 is conquest and purpose. This is absolutely the biggest one, and this isn't even up for debate. I don't give a shit how much the science doesn't support this, because I have a nice mixture of science when it comes to my content, but I also have a lot of things that are unrelated to science that I believe simply just work because they worked ancestrally. I've heard some people talk about this, but quite frankly, it's not talked about enough. There's no amount of food, there's no amount of sleep that's gonna be able to replace your purpose and intent that God has given you in this life. The hunters, the warriors, the men who provided for their village many, many years ago when this was a thing. Why were they stronger? Why were they sharper? Why did they feel like they were more capable than everyone else? I'm sure there was a sense of arrogance to it, but that is not my point or perspective on this, and it's not relevant to you. It's simply this: their body knew that if they failed, people they loved would suffer. They would suffer themselves. That demand channels something out of us that is very difficult to explain in words, but it pulls your hormones out of this box that they were gate kept within. And once you get into the cycle of this, you realize that as your testosterone goes up, the testosterone actually fuels this cycle to continue itself. It fuels the chase. So if there's no chase in your life and you're not striving or working towards something bigger than yourself, why do you think you deserve to have high testosterone? Why do you think you feel like crap all day long? You're working towards nothing that's actually significant in your life that gives you fulfillment. Your body just simply doesn't believe you have a reason to produce high, ridiculous amounts of testosterone. Now, this is a lot of the mindset stuff, right, that I was mentioning earlier, but this is what I work with my clients on, right? One-to-one, we have to figure out what is going on in your mind. You have to figure out how you can become this animalistic version of yourself in our society today. I have guys in my program who eat the right foods, they sleep right, and they train correct, but they don't have this. And I'm like, my friend, you have to understand, if you don't have the purpose or the intent, you are not going to be able to pull from your ancestors. And I know a lot of you guys are going to think that this is a bunch of nonsense, but tell me what your testosterone is, right? If you don't have the results, then you can't say anything about it. The reality is, this stuff works. Look at our ancestors. If you don't have a purpose in life and you want to get one, then you have to start working towards figuring out what that's going to be, and you will see the results that you deserve when it comes to your testosterone. Here's a very simple structure that you can follow on a day-to-day basis to kind of align with this idea. When you wake up with the sun. You wake up with structure. You do a morning prayer. You go for a morning walk. You can journal, you can meditate for a few minutes. Set your intentions for the day. What are you going to accomplish this day? Why do you want to accomplish it? What's it going to do for your future? The way that you should look at this is you're starting your day on offense versus reacting to it and starting on defense, which is what 99.9% of humans do. You and I both know that 90% of the time you wake up, you are on the defense, meaning you're reacting to life rather than being proactive and creating what you want, creating your reality. When you begin to apply these 5 steps and you start living like this, I promise you, your mindset will stop being about how do I optimize my hormones? How do I optimize my testosterone? Because it'll be indirectly happening as a byproduct of you applying the system. Your attention will begin to shift from how do I get high testosterone to how do I live with purpose? And your body will have the fuel, the energy required to live up to that standard. Do you see what I'm saying? This is so crucial. This is absolute sauce as well. You guys got to apply this stuff if you want to get results. Don't be watching these videos and wondering why it's not working. You have to become worthy of high testosterone. Once you become worthy, it'll show up in your life and it'll stay in your life. So clean out your environment, train with intent, rebuild your nutrition from an ancestral perspective, re-architect your sleep, and give your biology a mission to strive towards. It's ranked in that order for a specific reason. So start at step 1 and take it one step at a time. And if you're already farther ahead in the journey, then start where you need to start with, right? Everybody's different. That's the beauty in this. If you didn't take any notes or you haven't fully absorbed this and you don't know what your actionable plan is, go back, take notes. How do you expect to get results? And if you want more proof that this works beyond me, my client Luke doubled his testosterone with this system. My client David 4x his testosterone with this system and transformed his physique. My client Zach transformed his testosterone 2x and he was able to lose 30 pounds. This stuff works. If you want to get results like this for yourself, you have to take action. My community is in the description below. If you want to go join that and you want to gain a much more advanced, in-depth breakdown of these specific concepts and learn how to apply it for yourself. It'll be a do it for yourself, right? Not a done for you in terms of for me, but you can go do it yourself. It's all in the community. Everything you need is there to be able to get these results. But if you want me to personally help you, then there will also be a link to book a call with me where we will break down everything you're doing in your life that is wrong, everything that's right that we can build on, where you want to go, and we'll create a game plan to help you increase your testosterone and make you become the man you want to become. How many more years, right, are we going to let go by before we decide to make a change, right? We have to do this for ourselves. We have to do it for our family. We have to do it for our kids if you have kids, and you have to do it for your future self. Most importantly, do it for God. So everything is in the description down below. Go check that out. And you can even DM me on Instagram if you have any specific questions. I hope to hear from you very soon. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.